It is a world of hand-to-hand combat, high falls, and dramatic explosions. It is a world of skilled stunt performers, extraordinary special effects, and expansive production values. It is a world that is more popular today than it was when it opened 22 years ago. It is WaterWorld at Universal Studios Hollywood, the 2017 Thea Classic Award recipient. WaterWorld was a pioneer of the industry when first launched in 1995, and today continues to be one of the most technically proficient and popular shows of its kind, generating amongst the highest guest ratings in the park, almost unheard of for a 22-year-old show. In 2014, Universal Studios Hollywood partnered with Action Horizons to re-energize the show for a new generation of theme park guests. By refocusing the creative, layering in bigger and bolder action sequences, and finding the best stunt performers in the industry, we were able to take full advantage of the 40,000 square foot arena and 1.4 million gallon lagoon to mount our most explosive version of the show yet. From the launch of a full-size seaplane to a 50-foot high fire dive, WaterWorld exceeds the expectations of what guests expect from a theme park show. And every punch, every gunshot, and every explosion is delivered in powerful 11.1 surround sound. For more than 2 decades and 20,000 performances, the talented casts and crews of WaterWorld have brought our guests closer to the worlds of filmmaking, stunt work, and special effects than any other show in theme park history. WaterWorld, truly a live SeaWar spectacular at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Today, we're going to have Tim Brunko, Steven Sierks, Stacy Quinelti, and Pat Melicano as our speakers today. Thank you.
Well, hello, I'm Tim, and I guess we'll sort out who's who later on. And it's kind of odd to be here to talk about this show because with it being, 22 years or 1995, I was actually working at Disney when it started. It had nothing to do with the show when it first opened up. So to be here talking about this is kind of an interesting feeling as much as, I think what we feel is just stewards of this legacy. And the show is pretty surprising. Not that many shows run 22 years. And I'm fortunate in my office, I can look down at it and see the arena fill. I can see it in the morning when it's a quiet lagoon. There's no gunshots or any fire. I see the people, and sometimes, fortunately, I hear them screaming and pounding on the benches, and then every explosion is by my window. And I do get a chance to, think about just how amazing this thing is. And when you think about it, it's a 22-year-old show. It's jet skis are cool, but they've been around a while, and there's fire. And when you just think of CGI, and right now in Universal Studios Forbidden Journey, this state-of-the-art attraction in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, for this thing to do what it does. Actually, last week, and we have a way we survey our guests, it was the highest-rated attraction in the park. 22-year-old show. And, I don't think, when you think of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter or Transformers, which is amazing stories that people recognize when they come into the park and already, have a big emotional hook, I don't think the film WaterWorld can make that claim. It's kind of like, why does this thing work so well? And really, I think, and granted I'm a live entertainment guy, but I love theme parks, I do think it's a testament just the power of live entertainment. You're actually there when this guy lights himself on fire. There's no screen, there's no 3D glasses, there's no mechanism. This guy is on fire, and I'm sitting here with my family, my dad, my parents, whatever, watching it. It's right there. And there's a power to that. Or when you shoot this shotgun, that thump you feel, that, you're really in that space. In fact, when we get to the shotguns, there's a whole story about that we'll talk about in a moment. So it's just, I think, is a testament to live entertainment done well by the right people for this thing to go for 22 years. And the other thing is we've got a commercial that ran when it first opened, and it does give you a sense of what's the same and holy cow, what's different. So why don't we show the original commercial?
Universal Studios Hollywood brings you more action, more adventure, more thrills, and more fun than anyone else. And this holiday, we're bringing you even more. Come thrill to an incredible new adventure, WaterWorld Live. It's Southern California's only new attraction, and it's only at Universal Studios. We blow everything else out of the water.
So that was it, 22 years ago, and actually right now. And what we're going to talk about, though, is the interesting challenge we had. That, as much as I said, just the power of live entertainment done well. And in fact, when I got to this park, it was always one of our highest-rated attractions. And entertainment compared to rides, for those of you that get involved in this, with I'm usually arguing with a finance guy. We don't have the throughput of an attraction. The maintenance is higher. It's often hard to justify live entertainment next to a brick and mortar attraction or ride for a lot of reasons. And but people were pleased with this because it just did so well. People who saw WaterWorld rated their day at the park that much better. But the problem we were running into was, as powerful as this was, in surveying our guests, the scores had started to ebb. And you could sense it. It just, it was still a really good show, but it just wasn't where it had been for years and years. And in a lot of places, I think what would have happened is this would have been the beginning of the end for WaterWorld. You made another investment, moved on to a newer IP, or done something like that. But we had this kind of a perfect storm of issues and a problem that actually gave us the good fortune to kind of turn the thing on its head and turn this show around in a way that, rather than cancel it, it's now this gem at the studio. And like I said, last week was our highest rated attraction. And generally it goes neck and neck with Transformers and Forbidden Journey, as hard as that is sometimes to digest. Because if you've seen those attractions, they're awesome. And the problem that we had, and these guys are going to go into it in much more detail, was twofold. It was during that era before Wizarding World was built, and we were a park of construction fences. And it was really tough on our guests, and I felt about the park. And so to see the few things we had running start to ebb meant that, we had this window before Potter opened that we're just struggling to make sure we're delivering, a great guest experience, because we're still open and operating, and they're still buying tickets. So you had that, but on top of that, the other thing was at Universal's on a hilltop. And as cool as it is with the views, if you ever get a chance to build a theme park, don't put it on a hilltop. It creates enormous problems backstage. And with us, we have very sensitive neighbors that live, some of them in very expensive neighborhoods. And some of them have opinions, and they don't like hearing explosions or gunshots or the audience roaring. And we were hearing a lot about it. Particularly, we were hearing about, for a lot of unique reasons of acoustics and geography, about the pistol shots, about the gunshots, about the screams, and it just seems like if one thing, you'd fix one sound and it would be another. And so we reached this point that we either need to just come up with another idea or fix it. And the way you would fix it, we'd been talking about for years, is a distributed sound system. The sound system there was pretty aged and pretty old, so we were using large speakers and large sources, pumping large amounts of energy out into the neighborhood. And partly on my assistance, we were still using real gunshots. There's something about a thump of a shotgun that I didn't think you could duplicate on tape. But in fixing the sound system, decided where we were, we needed to install a new sound system. It gave us an opportunity to kind of pitch, unfunded, a way to just, let's reinvest in the show and bring it back to where it should be. And in talking to these gentlemen here and some other people, we just realized you just needed to put the intensity back. And the problem is the same show, same script, same soundtrack. What had changed is what I think one of the biggest struggles in a theme park is it's time and redundancy. You just don't get to do a show once or for a short period of time and kill it. You do it day after day after day. You think about this for 22 years, and there's an almost inevitable erosion that you have to fight. And it's little things. It's death by 1,000 small cuts. It's this effect is a problem, so you cut it. Instead of 3 really strong performers here, it becomes 5 or 6. This line shifts. It's all these little things that erodes. And so the fight's a fight, but it just doesn't make you wince the way it should. So we figured, how do you put the intensity back? And there was a lot to it, but I'm going to put it in kind of 3 or 4 big buckets. And again, they will go in more detail. First was the sound. We had to fix it anyway. And so you have to fix it anyway. We were able to work with our, as Stacy Quinalty will talk about, with the studio and recreate the soundtrack, remix it in a way that was state-of-the-art, put in a new distributed speaker system, change the show control system. So instead of just, okay, there's a lot of big sound, The sound is now awesome. You're in the show. The bullets, I mean, you feel like the bullets are you're landing behind you. The explosions just, they thump, make your ribs shake. And just really make the audio experience something really spectacular. So that was the first thing, is really deal with the sound. It is a lot more, I simplified it. I tend to do that. Stacy's the smart guy. I'm like the 10-year-old that says, more bullets, more ricochets. You make me happy by a good ricochet and bullet hit, and I'm a happy guy. But he'll talk more about that. So we really put a lot into the sound. The other thing was the infrastructure. The arena itself, really, WaterWorld replaced another show. And it's a big, big space to fill. And if you looked at it, you realize, based on just the ramifications, the way it was designed, a lot of the action was way upstage. So we came up with ways to bring the action further downstage and get the audience closer, and just try to bring things closer to the audience. And I think Steven's got a story about digging a pond and a pit where we could do a high fall right in front of everybody instead of 200 feet away. So there was just the proximity to fully envelop the audience. And last thing, and this may be the most important, I can't underestimate it, is we've gotten connected through a lot of projects and events with a company called Action Horizons, a stunt company. And I think in the little teaser they said something like, world class or the industry's best stunt guys. Well, I will tell you, in my opinion, these guys are. And not only did they bring a passion to how to make these fights and the intensity of the show, just bring it back in a way that before you'd watch a fight and go, well, that's kind of cool. Now you watch a fight, honestly, a fight that I've seen hundreds of times, I'm going, ow, wow. How do you do that? I mean, they really sell it. And not just once, every show. Because that's the trick here, is you can't just do it, for a week or 2 or 3. It's just day after day after day, anywhere from 3 shows to 12 shows. That punch needs to land like it hurts. And these guys can do that. And the other thing they brought is because they do the show world round, because the show was successful, it's now in Singapore and Japan, is they were able to cherry pick things that other people had done well, and we brought them back here. So we cleaned it up a little bit and tightened the script. It's not master storytelling, but it's got to make sense. There's got to be a through line. And we put that back and cleaned some things up. But I just can't say too much about what they brought to this in terms of, when I look out the window, I mean, every fight is a fight. Nobody's mailing it in. It doesn't look like a stunt. And anyway, between those big parts, we were able to move this thing not just a little bit, a lot, until, like I said, it runs neck and neck now with the strongest attractions in our park. So they're going to talk more about it, and I'm going to introduce Pat Millicano. But somebody should be on stage. Where's Brett King? Brett, way back there. Brett's our vice president of operations. And what's kind of fun is we get to produce the show, set it down, make it really complicated, really intense. Okay, hey, Brett, run it every day. Let me know how it goes. And so with the cast and crew and support, Brett handles that. Well, as Pat will talk about, they handle the actual stunt performers. But it has been an awful lot of fun. So with that, I will introduce one of the principals of Action Horizons, Mr. Pat Millicano.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Hey, everybody. How you doing? How am I doing? I'll tell you how I'm doing. Hi, I'm Pat Millicano, and I'm one of the 4 owners of Action Horizons, and we are unbelievably excited to be here and be part of this summit, and it's a great honor. And the kind words that he just said are kind of amazing. So real quickly, I guess real quickly, I'll tell you a 2-second beat about Action Horizons, owned by 4 people. Myself, Ken Clark, Peter Nelson, and Mark Vanslow. Peter Nelson is Australian, so keep an eye on your wallet. He's here. I will tell you, Ken Clark is someplace. Mark Vanslow sends his regrets. He's got the awesome, cool excuse of he's stunt coordinating a movie with Liam Neeson in Canada, so he was unable to come. But we're old stunt guys, and they never let me forget that I'm the oldest. So I started in 1984 as a cowboy at Universal Studios. I had hair when I started that thing. So and through that process, I eventually moved into the offices there, I think just to get me out of the shows. They gave me a position. And through that process, I started working with those three gentlemen who were all part of the original WaterWorld show. Peter Nelson was the first person to come out of the hole on that jet ski launch before we knew if anyone could survive it or not. And we started this company. I'll get into that in a second, but the main thing that we're all about, because we all have had varying success in film and TV, all of us started in live shows, and it was about theater. And what we all do, everybody that's in this business, is theater. One form or another, it's a form of theater. And it certainly has changed a bit since the Greeks came up with it. But today's live action stunt show is a direct descendant of that. The WaterWorld story is 22 years old, but we tell it with new techniques. And we'll cover that in a second. So the innovation is 22 years of IP with brand new techniques. The thing that Tim said, which is completely true, is the secret of this is it's not a one-off. When you do a movie stunt, you just got to get it right once, hopefully. Sometimes there's take two. But if it's a big one, nobody wants to do it more than once. You've only got so many cars to wreck. This pig has to be done day in, day out, day in, and day out. And the people that come 6 months from now pay just as much money as the people that came 6 months prior. So that's what we bring to the table, is being able to deliver a show that uses cinema-level techniques and stunts to the live-action show. Now, what freaks people out like Brett King is that we're going to ramp this thing up and make things a little more dangerous to do. But back when I had hair, we started figuring out how to do that without it actually being truly dangerous. It's not pleasant to hit the ground, but there's ways of hitting the ground without it really causing damage. And so what we do is we take that and we teach it day in and day out. We set the bar, we hold people accountable, and we teach them technique that allows them to wow audiences. So the team. I will tell you that we started this company and we hoped one thing, and that was to try to revitalize and save the live-action stunt show. For all the reasons that Tim just said, the live-action stunt show was starting to disappear from the planet. Everybody remembers 20 years ago, every mom-and-pop theme park had some sort of stunt show. But they cost more money to operate than a dark ride. But if you do it right, they can last a really long time. And you don't have to spend every 5 years $100 million to put a new dark ride in. So at the end of the day, our argument is, give us a chance. And that's what we tried to sell to Tim. We were really lucky. We had some people that took a chance on us. I think I saw Steve Ryan here. Is he here? Steve Ryan back there, Show Concepts, rolled the dice on us and gave us a chance to build this pig in Singapore. We learned a lot in that one. And then from that, we were able to get in the door with Mr. Runco and say, hey, give us a chance. Again, unbudgeted. They didn't have the money to do this. We went in there and tap danced, and he went to his bosses and put his gig on the line, really, to give us a chance. And as it turns out, it's worked out so far. The leadership aspect of what we do is incredibly important. What we find is that just like everybody else that does any kind of gig, if the person telling you what you're supposed to do actually has done the gig before, they walk in the door with an ounce of credibility. And what we are able to do with these young, unbelievably talented athlete performers is to talk in a way that they understand and to hold them accountable because we were accountable. That leadership came from Universal Studios all the way down the line. We changed the culture of this thing because it had ebbed, it had eroded. And there was not just the performance aspect of it had to change, it was the entire culture had to change. Holding this thing at a bar. And that's the only way that last week, after a major rehab, this girl was the top rated attraction in the park because it's really good theater. And there have been tests done that like over 60% of the people that see this show are unaware there was a movie named WaterWorld. That's the people that rated the best thing they saw. I know that kind of drives the IP guys a little crazy, but it's about theater. And it's about taking the leadership of accountability from him and above him all the way down to the guy hitting the ground. Part of the trouble is that attention to detail is really important. It's really important. The attention to detail in our world is completely different. You think back to what a live action stunt show looked like a few years ago, 10, 15 years ago. It was, you got me. Everybody that walks in that door has seen Access Hollywood. They've got a DVD of the Bourne Supremacy that's got extra attractions on it that shows the behind the scenes of how the stunts were done. They know our secrets, most of them. So what we have to do is make them believe that what they're seeing this time is not pretend. So the expectations of the audience have grown exponentially since 1995 when this thing opened. They're completely different human beings. What they know about what we do is a much larger database that they have available to draw from. What we have to do is we have to take movie-level stunts, movie-level techniques, and bring them to the live stage and make them safe and repeatable. That's the ticket. And you can do it. We can do it. Sorry. I guess the most important thing here is, and hopefully it's showing up a little bit, is passion. It's kind of impossible to explain, but I think the fact that you guys are sitting here and you paid money to be here means I don't need to explain it to you. There's probably a lot of places you guys could work this hard at and make more money than you're making doing whatever it is you're doing. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. That's what it's about for us, and that's what we teach to the people that we have go out there on the stage. It's about passion. It's about doing it for the right reasons. Yeah, it's fun to jump off a 4-story building once you learn how to do it. But it hurts learning it. So what we do, and the reason we do it, is because, as I said, the forerunners of this company, we all started in this thing. We all started with an audience telling us that we don't suck several times a day. And that's, honestly, heroin. Once you got it. And you guys all get it because you guys are working your tail off to get that same reaction. And from our point of view, during this show, now that the new show where the Helen character, the female lead in the show, is really the hero of the show, even though don't tell our mariners that that's the case. She's really the hero of the show. And to watch a young girl jump up in the crowd and scream out, "You go, girl!" After all these years, it still gives me chills. And that's why we do it. So one of the things that we want to talk to you about, and we have to do it every day, every show. We hold them accountable. And we create an esprit de corps that makes them realize they know when they walk off stage if they did it right or not. And we know how to help them get it right. So here's an example of the difference. There's a part of the show that we call the bucket fight. This is 1999.
I'm so glad we brought guns. He's got water and he's kicking our butts.
Watch the pace. That's Helen.
Don't you disappoint me.
It's the guy with the bucket.
Don't you do it.
Hits him again. He falls into a net.
She got it right with did you train with that right?
She runs over, gets on a slide for life,
The girl is getting away.
and slides away. 1995, the audiences went nuts over that. They went nuts over it. They loved it. The character, the bad guy that she knocks out with a bucket and he falls into that net, had to like sheepishly crawl off the net during the show, climb down the ladder, and sneak off backstage. The Helen punches were killed him in 95. Home run. It was huge. This is it today.
Guns, he's got water. We should be winning.
Crank that volume. Thank you.
Train these guys.
It ain't over.
Chuck, come here and fix this gun. The girl is getting away.
That's what we did. And part of what Tim was talking about is we brought that action down to the people. So later in that show, if you haven't seen the show, later in that show, there is a 4-story full burn dive. That's sort of the finale. The bad guy gets shot with a flare gun by Helen, set on fire, and he steps off a 4-story building and does a fall. 4 stories. But it's 200 feet away. So from an audience point of view, if I'm standing here, I can watch that entire high fall happen by just moving my eyes. I can watch him 4 stories up. I can watch him hit the water. It's awesome. It's the technical term that we use in stunts is it's bitchin'. But this stunt happens right here. So the only way I can watch that happen is to do this. Changes everything. So we got it close to him. We upped it. We take it to that level every time. Hit the ground, make it real. We teach them how to do it properly to where they can do it 5 times a day. 4 to 5 days a week. So, I think that the results speak for itself. We're incredibly proud of the show, obviously. The cool thing about this was that this group effort that happened, so as we got thrown in with we want to do this, we want to do this, and then Universal completely trusted us for some unbelievable reason, actually. These idiots that were coming in going, no, we can blow this up better, we can do this. And they bought in and let us do it. And then they threw that guy, Stacy, at this thing, who completely changed everything with the audio. And he's going to talk about that in a second, and I don't get any of it, but I'm just telling you, if you haven't been, go for the audio, because it's really amazing what he's done. So the results speak for themselves. I guess in summary, my point is that hopefully what this proves to everybody out there is that live theater is relevant. But like a dark ride, it must meet the expectations of today's audiences. And both must be properly maintained. I will turn it over to Stephen, but I want to say one more thing. Honestly, this is an honor to be here and talk to you guys. I've been in this business for a really long time, and the fact that Tim Runco rolled the dice on us and gave us a chance to prove that we weren't just idiots that jumped off things, and that we might have learned a couple things along the way is everything. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Pat. My name is Steven Sirks. I'm the Senior Director of Entertainment Production for Universal Studios Hollywood. And echoing what Pat said, I am uniquely thrilled to be here. I got my start at WaterWorld, working there on the operations side. And 15 years later, I had the chance to come back to WaterWorld to do the significant remount that we did back in 2014. So I have the pleasure of talking you through some of what that process was, what the challenges were, what the benefits were, and clearly the end result is everything that you've seen so far today. So WaterWorld is an evolution. It started at Universal Studios Hollywood back in 1995, but then shortly thereafter, it opened in Universal Studios Japan in 2001. They took learnings from the Hollywood show, applied them, and made their show that much better and that much different. Then Singapore opened their version of WaterWorld in 2010, again taking learnings from Japan, who took learnings from Hollywood. So what we were able to do in 2014 is take the best learnings of those two parks, apply it to the learnings and best practices that we had, and connect the loop back together. We closed the circle with the remount work that we did. So we truly took what is evolution and turned it into iteration. And that was something that we felt to be extremely strong and persuasive in how we were positioning why we needed to do this, why it was important, why the timing was right. So the remount, what were the goals of our remount? The goals were three major goals. Is first, as Pat mentioned, bring the audience closer to the stage. Bring the action closer to the audience, not the other way around, and add a danger element. A lot of the action takes place far away from you. So we wanted to bring the action closer. We wanted to re-engage the audience in that way. We wanted to interrupt and disrupt the show flow. So the show at that point was numbers of years old. We wanted to disrupt those people who had seen the show before and take the learnings from Japan and Singapore and make sure that we were not only iterating, but we were providing additional energy, additional feedback with the show flow. And then last but not least, enhance and bring the environment to life. And I want to go through what those three things meant in terms of the remount process. First, in terms of the what and the how, 21 days. We had 21 days from the day the show closed to guests to the day the show opened again to guests. So everything that I'm going to talk through in the next few minutes was done in 21 days. It was reconstructive surgery with precision. We had to apply precision, months and months of preparation to make sure that those 21 days mattered. That from the day the first drain was pulled and the pool was emptied to the day the pool was filled, we had rehearsals and reprogrammed the show, that every day, every second mattered. First, architectural. We brought action closer. What we did first and foremost, and you saw it in Pat's presentation, is the bucket fight. We had a pool that was dug originally for the Miami Vice show, and it wasn't deep enough in certain areas. And to bring the action closer to the audience, we needed to dig an additional dive well. So essentially what we did was we dug a pool in the pool. And it's one of those things that was mentioned in one of the conversations earlier, is that when a challenge is presented, you just say yes. And this was a challenge that was presented to us. And there were 15 people that told us we couldn't do it. You can't do it for engineering reasons. You can't do it for timing reasons. You can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. So what did we do? We did it. We found a way to do it. We found a way to make it work within the time span. We found a way, we actually engaged the original engineering firm that did the pool back in the Miami Vice days to come in and support us. And we had a support of the team, the leadership, and the overall company to make sure that we could apply our learnings and make this critical effect work. We believed in it that much. And you can see in the video that Pat showed how much it truly did mean to us. Secondly, environmental, immersive storytelling. We wanted to bring the set back to life. When WaterWorld first opened, it was just after the movie had premiered. So they took a lot of the movie scenery, a lot of the movie set dressing, and brought it to the theater and applied it to the set. However, it didn't really tell a story. So in the design, in the remount rather, we applied the design back to the set. We were able to go in and tell story through design. Bring additional set dressing, found set dressing, that not only looked good and brought the set to life visually, but brought the set to life from a story perspective. It was the combination of placemaking and theater. We use the term placemaking a lot. the ability to tell a story through design, the ability to connect connective tissue together. So what we did is we used different spaces throughout the set to be able to bring it to life, be able to tell a story, whether it's subversive or subtly. This area is the hydroponics area. So we dressed it with a bunch of greens, a bunch of earth, a bunch of growth. Other areas in the set were the laundry, the weapons area. Everything told a story. Though a casual observer might not get there immediately, you would get there because it brought the set to life. And then last but not least, we disrupt the show flow. A lot of the changes that we made, and this was one of the challenging areas because we were using a somewhat antiquated show system, is we rearranged pieces of the show. We added a character. We added a new Sage character, which was developed for one of the other parks and we brought into Hollywood, but it allowed us to bring additional personality to the show as well. That Sage character is a character that you connected with as an audience. He ended up being killed, but you connected with him. And it allowed us to take what used to be canned lines and bring them to life. It allowed us to not only add that personality, but add dynamics to it. The crowd was able to engage with this character, and the character was able to engage with the crowd. Again, Pat talks about live entertainment. That's live theater at its best, being able to engage with an audience, know where they're at, know where they're going, and be with them. One of the big things we did is we moved the seaplane. And when it crashes through that wall and goes into the audience, near the audience, we're able to bring it closer to the end of the show, really ramp up the action of the show, make sure that we're continuing to have that upward trajectory. The seaplane was about 2/3 of the way through the show originally. By moving it to the end, it doesn't have a spike and then dips back down. It just keeps going. The show energy, the show flow just keeps going. And then, of course, the added fight sequences, whether it's the bucket fight, additional fight sequences closer to the audience, additional fight sequences throughout the set. Everything was added for purpose, added for reason, with precision and engineering. So the end product, something that we were really proud of, something that truly made a difference, something that not only brought the show back to life, but allowed us to have tangible energy, tangible product. When you talk about the guest ratings, you talk about everything that we did. In 21 days, we're able to tackle a lot. We're able to add scenic, change scenic, dig a dive well, repaint the set, reprogram a whole show sequence, whole show flow, rehearse new characters, rehearse new performers, rehearse new staff. 21 days, start to finish. Something we're really proud of, something that we'll continue to be proud of, certainly one of the proudest moments in my career so far, and that ability to come back to WaterWorld, somewhere that I started and come back to and have that energy, have that investment, have that passion for it, was something pretty special. So what shouldn't be left out, and something that Pat and Tim both mentioned, is the audio design. And I want to turn it over to Stacy to actually bring us to the atoll, allow everyone here to experience what some of the guests experience at WaterWorld, but first talk through what the audio design meant to that remount, what the audio design means to the show, and how we use audio to truly transform you, transplace you to WaterWorld. So Stacy?
Thanks, Stephen. Well, I want to apologize to everybody and apologize to my team because I completely thought they made the movie after our show. So you learn something new every day. So that's pretty exciting. The first thing we wanted to do, I was approached. We have, like Tim was discussing about our sound mitigation issues. We live in Universal Studios Hollywood, and that is Hollywood Hills, they say. Have a lot of issues where the sound carries out through the arena into the neighborhoods, a lot of complaints, and we really wanted to try to fix that and mitigate that as best as possible without killing the energy of the show. The first thing people do is just turn down the level of the show. We did not want to do that. So what we did a bunch of testing, a bunch of trial and error things that we did with different audio companies. We ended up using Bose room match system, and Bose designed a system that would really keep everything contained within the arena. We ended up using 72 subwoofers, so there's 24 at each section. We have 3 sections, and it allowed us, in using, without getting too detailed, but in cardioid patterns, to be able to keep the energy into the venue. You'll still hear a low end outside the venue, but you feel it in the venue, and that's the big difference. By really working with the mitigation issues, we decided to take a whole different approach where it's like, okay, we know the shotgun loads are loud. You know, what can you do? You want that energy, you want that effect. We don't want to come out with cap guns.
how do we make that work? So we did some really creative elements and a lot of testing in the venue with the stunt performers, a lot, and with Brett's team, measuring, testing all kinds of things, and came up with a solution. Instead of just playing a shotgun sound, we wanted to do something unique, where we would take that shotgun, we would point it through its point source upstage, wherever that person would be standing, take air from what that shotgun would feel like and throw it through the left and rights, and then have all the pellets of the gun hit you behind, right? So we did some really interesting things like that that allowed us to go, okay, this actually sounds way better than a real shotgun. So it let us decrease our loads. We still get our puff of smoke, and really allowed us to be able to get the energy that would make the show dangerous, because the show is dangerous, but I needed it to sound dangerous. I needed the guests to feel like it was dangerous in a whole different perspective than they're used to. I took approach when I came on this project with all of us go see movies. And I think Pat was saying that a while ago. It's like, your head doesn't turn. It just looks at a screen the whole time, and there's energy around you with sound. But we really wanted to look at it a whole different way. I wanted the guests to feel like not only were they watching the show, they were actually the guests on the balconies of the atoll looking down. They were immersed in part of this show. I wanted them to really feel and believe that this is really spectacular element. And the first step we did for that was we brought them into, the minute they walk into the venue, we make the atoll move. And they don't know it, but their psyche senses it, right? So we didn't just put creeks and water in motion. We did it different in all the speakers. So no matter where you are, you get a sense of creaking, and you feel like the whole entire atoll is bending, it's stretching as the water moves, and it's an amazing, amazing effect. You can just kind of hear different things kind of creaking. Now take that and spread it out 200 feet away, and it's pretty outstanding what we did with that. And that was really fun. It's really fun because immediately when you are there with your kids and you're hanging out, you feel like, wow, this place is alive. This is really something interesting. But when we ended up building everything, we decided to use QLab, and allowed us to upscale our routing tremendously. So we did home runs to every single enclosure in the venue that allowed me to place sound everywhere. Because if you're in section 1 watching the show at this angle, and you're in section 2 watching at this angle, you're in section 3 watching at this angle, if I'm watching the bucket fight, section 3, I need that sound effect to come out of the left speaker, right? Section 2, I need it to come out of the right, and section 1, I need it to come out of the right. Because the proper way to mitigate sound is do everything in mono, and you can control the way it's spaced out and how it's contained. We did not want to do that. We still wanted to have the immersive experience. Going to QSYS really gave us a lot of great advantages just for the routing and the capability of it and the quality of it. And then we also went to QLab. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with QLab and live shows. This show is being run on QLab too in a lot of areas. But it really gave me a thing that what we did differently is allowed us to break this whole show down into multiple stems and be able to control them on site instantly. So if I was with Pat and Pat said, that punch is just a hair late. Oh, no problem. We move it right away. We didn't have to go to the studio, refix it, do that. It was just instant. It allowed us to get the show back up in 21 days. We did do some things where we built the new system was a beast, bringing in all the Bose room match arrays. We had the old EAWs. We had to put everything up in tandem. So at night we would dial everything in, patch it back over, in the day run it on the old show, come back at night, patch in the new one. So it was tough, but we did it, and it was really, really fun, to be honest to you. All right, the most fun part, the creative. We got approached, how can we adjust some of this stuff due to the sound mitigation issue? Well, there's a few things. We have a few ideas. We know when we're at the top of the center tower, we're hearing the chimes. We're like, okay, listen, we can record that exact chime element from different perspectives, microphones at different places, ring that chime, and stuff foam in the old chimes, and the neighborhood will never hear it because we can control it. And we did something really, really interesting that was fascinated by, is because our point sources on the back wall shoot against the back of City Walk, funnel down and go right in the neighborhood. So we said, hey, what if we play a little bit of that sound through the point source, delay it before it hits the left and rights a little bit, and put all the energy in the house, but the brain will think it came from that spot. Your brain will think all of it came from that one location. And it was like magic. It transformed the show and took this thing to a whole nother level. The number one element. So like, here's the chimes. That guy rings it. And he's really just firing, we're really firing a cue. The boat comes in, the guy's yanking on the horn. We knew that was a problem. We have the horn that we play it manually. You don't even know. And it actually did a lot of great things for us because the horn itself is very directional, very loud. So when the boat moves in the water, these people don't hear it. But playing it back in the track, and we recorded the actual horn from the boat, is flawless. And amazingly, our sound guys with the cast were able to get this timing down just perfect. It's 100% perfect, even with shotgun blast. So here I'll play a few of our shotgun sequences. So you can hear the air. You hear the air come spaced out, right? So these shotguns are fantastic in the arena. Tim wants to hear it again. So it was really, really fun and really exciting. For us, it was a new world. Nothing beats a real shotgun, but we're like, we can beat a real shotgun. And what it did, it made the show really, really dangerous. Like it made, you just felt, oh, I better sit on the edge of my seat in case I got to run out of the venue. Other things we did, the Deacon boat comes in and there's a fan on the back of the boat. And it is so loud, believe it or not, that fan, like a swamp boat. I'm from Louisiana, if everybody's wondering about my accent. That fan is so loud, it's heard in the neighborhoods. So what we did is said, listen, let's turn the level down on the fan. Let us play that boat entrance. And that's the most ridiculous thing ever. I'm like, no. So we actually pan the boat. I had one cue and the boat comes this way. We fire the next cue. It fades over to this. We fire the next one. And we point source that boat energy around with the boat. And then we also ran a lot of it in the sub. So it really felt way more dangerous than just a fan coming in. Here's a Deacon boat. So it starts to rumble the bleachers. And then they kill it. So what happened, you're sitting in the bleachers, you feel that boat now. It's real subtle, right? But you feel the subs vibrating that seat. And people are like, oh my God, this guy's bad. He's really mean. So it really worked great. The other thing that allowed us to do, my choice to use QLab for anybody who's interested, what it really, really allowed us to do was be able to tailor, instead of having a 16-button controller, because before we had the same punch sound for everything, this really gave me, I had a discrete sound effect with every single moment. If you got punched in the face, it was a face punch. If you got hit in the gut, it was a gut punch. If you got kneed in the gut, it was a knee to the gut sound. Every single cue. So we went from 16 sound effects to 355 stems that all flow in sequence. It's pretty fantastic. We did this with the Lower Lot Film Studios, which we're really proud of. It was one of our first strong ventures together. With the help of Martin Lopez. He was one of the guys that specializes in really meticulous sound effects like Spider-Man, and what does Spider-Man's web sound like when they come out of his arm, and what does the Hulk sound like when he breathes. It's really meticulous stuff. So got with Martin, but Martin's like, man, I have no idea how to do a theme park show. Like, what do you mean it's in stems? He's like, no, it's all in one timeline. And not in our world. It's all broken up. So we really worked together for quite a while and developed all this just like a feature film. But in a live world. So what that allowed us to do is do some really amazing things to get those guests' head to turn. Because I agree with Pat. I want people's heads to turn everywhere. We don't want them watching the action. We want them in the middle of it. I want them to feel like they're in the middle of it. I want them to hear like they're in the middle of it. And I don't want them to even think about it. So we did stuff like this. This is a bomb run in the show. The fillet moves all the way around. Obviously, things are being blown up at this point. You hear hear the planes leave. And so forth and so forth. So it's just constant immersion the whole time through. I've been all around the world. Thank you. Thank you. I've been all around the world doing shows, and you always hear surround sound, and you hear the little birds tweet when the field scene comes up, and you hear another little element in the back. And we were like, listen, and like Tim said, I want more ricochets. I want more ricochets. So we wanted to really, really take that over the top and go, okay, if Tim wants more ricochets, well, then we got to have louder guns. And we got to have louder this. We got to have more this. So really, 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 we exaggerated everything. And the whole point is that when you watch a movie, I always felt like this. I'd watch a movie and feel like I'm that guy in the movie in the battle scene. I didn't want them to feel like they're that person in the battle scene. I wanted them to feel like my family is in the battle scene. Like our group of people are in the middle of this war. And it really, really worked by taking it to that other level. Like this is our Gatling gun, and we didn't leave anything out. Just to make a Gatling gun or a 50 caliber weapon, we didn't take a 50 caliber sound effect and shoot it. We have in one gun effect, we might have 18 ricochets. We might have 18 whiz-bys to match those ricochets. You'll hear the shells come flying out of the gun, and we put them in different places. The shells come flying out of the gun. They come out of the point source by where he's at, so it really sounds like the shells are there. But the whizzes will fly in left and right. The ricochets will fly out in the surrounds, and you get pretty massive stuff like this. You hear the wind down of the gun. When the old show was like, bop, 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 it would just stop. So we were like, that's not how a gun sounds. And we can completely control it. What we did use in QLab is work with our SETs. Are obviously the show's very dangerous, so everything has to be really timed correctly. This guy might break a beam. That lets the explosions know it's safe to blow up. Well, we wanted everything timed perfectly. So what we did was we fired MSC commands from that show control system tied to the actual explosion. So my audio effect is 100% in sync no matter what. Even if the guy's, a half mile too slow today and he breaks that beam at a different point, that explosion's still going to fire when that explosion fires. And then we created a second playlist, which is all of our punches and every other element that's manually operated, and they run in tandem. That was the way me discussing the studio and theme park approach. The big thing with us, like I was talking about briefly, is really, 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 with the immersion, it really takes the depth of field. You really can't just fire everything through a left and right. We're working with some new stuff right now, and they're like, oh, just put it in the front of the house. That's the way it's done these days. No. It's just like everything else. You want to spread it out as far as you can, which is actually the opposite. Anybody heard of Atmos? I'm sure you're hearing Atmos in the new movie theaters. It's that concept of really putting things over your head and putting it all around you, which I'm a huge fan of. It sounds fantastic. We wanted to be able to really give a sense of motion and give that depth of field by really placing these speakers. I have 3 point sources in the venue, but at each location, we have a box pointed at each section. This location, a box pointed at each section. So it really allowed me to create that depth, that world of depth. So when somebody's upstage and he's firing a pistol, that pistol comes out of that speaker way over there, but I have a noise problem. So I play that same track and time delay it so it comes out of this speaker just a hair after, and your brain absolutely perceives it from that location, but I get all the energy right there. And then we talked about the 2 QLabs. What I did in I don't want to get too in depth with QLab, but we did duplicate stems. This is what I did. So I have 355 stems running in the show, but a lot of them are duplicates. So one will be going to left and right on a time delay. One will be going to the point sources. Pretty straightforward. The other thing we talked about was allowing the panning to move to the action. Really, really, no matter what, wanted that to follow. Like I said, when that boat came in this way, that sound came that way and moved. When that boat came across, that sound came across and moved. And we had control over it. It wasn't just, let's make a sound that does this and hopefully the boat gets it right. We controlled it. We knew when he had to shut his motor down and turn it and gas it, we put that sound in there. And we built it all to video and then broke it all down to make this work so amazing. Let's see here. All the, like we talked about how we're using the effects to mitigate the sound. And then, we're really, really proud of what we've done. We think the show is fantastic. We've had a lot of interest in what we've created, and it's really, really exciting. I encourage anybody to come and see it. Like they said, we're all really honored to be here today, so thank you all very much. It's a really great opportunity. And I just have to add, the whole playback system of this audio is $700 Mac Mini. So it's going back to your technology terms. Thank you. Really great. And for $700, you can buy a backup and have it sitting right there too in case the other one goes down. I'll turn it back to Steven.
No, I just wanted to echo what Stacy said, what Tim said, and certainly what Pat said. It's just such a pleasure to be here speaking with you today. We're certainly happy and very proud of what we've accomplished at WaterWorld. Very proud to be the recipient of the Thea Classic Award. Thank you to the TEA for everything that they've done for us over the last couple of months in preparing for this presentation, as well as the awards on Saturday.
We have a few minutes if you want to take some questions from the audience. Anyone has questions? Yes?
Are the neighbors happy?
Yes. Well, for the most part. For the most part. Yeah.
With this show, they're happy.
Yeah, it's calmed down quite a bit. It really accomplished what we needed to.
Any other questions? Yes, back there.
Hi, thank you so much for this. This is a great presentation about a great show. I was a kid growing up going to the show, so this was great. Thank you. One of the big themes for me today, something that one of you said that really struck me was, I think, Tim, the value of seeing a person really on fire. Seriously, though, and it's a really interesting contrast to the earlier talk about VR and total immersion and all these things, because there is something about that, even if you have photoreal VR, that's the one thing that you can't ever have is that guy's really on fire, and I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So I was just curious. It's an interesting rebuttal to this VR movement, the value of live entertainment. So I was just hoping you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. Live entertainment has that power. Live entertainment allows the performer to, like I said, to react to the audience, to know where the audience is going, to help shape the audience's perception, to help shape the audience's experience in the moment. That's something you can only get through power of live entertainment. Being the live entertainment team up here, of course, we've got a true passion for distributing and making sure that we continue to push the limits. That's certainly what we've done at WaterWorld. That's what we continue to do throughout the entertainment department at Universal and beyond within the entertainment realm, is continue to push the boundaries to stay not only up to date and surpassing technology, but also the guest experience as well. It's those little moments, the guy being on fire, that interaction with the character in the park that truly makes a day special, memorable, and unique.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd call it a rebuttal to VR as much as I think the problem, and I'm sure you've all seen it, is that the tendency to start falling back on formulas, or 3D's big, so everything's 3D. Everything has its place when you're telling a story, or if it's a spectacle show, or what kind of storytelling it is. And I do think what it is a response to is you can rely too heavily on the amazing things you can do technically, to the point that for me at times I should become numb to it. And one, I think it is rare. It's not like every day you get to see somebody lit on fire. Though we were talking last night, that old Jungle Cruise joke. I was a Jungle Cruise skipper, where you go, you don't get to see that every day. And then you pause and go, I do. But even I don't get tired of it, and it worked. In fact, we talked about trying to do it here because we knew it would work, but the Anaheim Fire Marshal wouldn't let us do it. I don't know why, but
neither do I.
Yeah, but you're right. There is something about being in the space with no screen and no glasses, and I'm right there. And I think it's why people go to theme parks. Part of me is why I go to a theme park, sit in a dark theater, and watch a movie. I think it is about being with yourself or your friends in that space and really there. There's something about that experience that still powers theater and live entertainment that, is hard to capture. And when you light somebody on fire, you're obviously capturing it in a really big way.
Yeah, and I'll add to that the little bucket fight thing that I showed earlier, there was a pretty audible response to the guy hitting the ground after he got kicked, and that's on video. When you see another human being get hit and hit the ground hard like that right in front of you, there's no denying it that that's what just happened. It's a physical reaction that you have to it, and that's what, to your point, what live theater brings. The VR is going to get close to. But I just want to say, I dig VR. When they have Madden football for VR, and I can just wear a Packer uniform onto the football field, bring me food, because I'm not leaving.
It's great hearing about the way you guys have kept the show alive. It's amazing, and it's a real tribute to its legacy. Were any of you actually alive when the original show was created? And can you go back to some of the origins of how that show came about? Because in its own sense, we're celebrating it as a classic, and it took some huge chances in the original that still survive today. Can you talk about the seaplane or any of that original legacy stuff?
Adam, are your eyes going bad? Are you able to see my hairline?
You did have hair then, didn't you?
Yeah. I was alive. Like I said, Peter Nelson, right over there, he's the first guy to go out that hole. He helped design the jet ski launch, as a matter of fact. So, yeah. And it was an unbelievable undertaking to put this thing up. I mean, I don't know how many, I can't remember. There's like 4 or 5 patents that had to be created just to do the effects in that show, which was 1994 when they were working on it, and it was a game changer across the board. But the effort that was put into it then you had to just keep at it. You couldn't just rest on your laurels. You had to just go, okay, how do we keep meeting the expectations of the guests as they advance? But yeah, I was around.
Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause.